the Publicity Department of the Central Committee of the CPC. We're hosting the 13th conference of a series of the China in the past decade. And today we're talking about the latest achievements of the system of the National People's Congresses. And we are delighted to be joined by Mr. Wang Tiemin and Mr. Song Rui. First, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Wang Tiemin to give us a brief introduction. Friends from the media, good morning. I'm very delighted to attend the press conference today. On this occasion, I'd like to extend my appreciation to all of you for your support and care for our work. Over the past year since the 18th CPC National Congress, the CPC Central Committee, with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core, proceeding from the strategy of improving our socialist system and modernizing our national governance system, has enhanced the innovation of the theory and practice of People's Congresses, generated the important thinking of General Secretary Xi Jinping on upholding and improving the system of People's Congresses, and secured historic achievements. The system is more mature and resilient. We enhanced the party's all-round leadership over the People's Congresses. The CPC Central Committee has enhanced its unified leadership on our work. We hosted the Central Working Conference on the People's Congresses, which improved the institutional mechanism for the party's leadership. The party's leadership is our primary political principle. We defended the two establishes and two upholds with solid efforts, integrated development of the party's leadership, people's rights, and the rule of law, delivered the requirements of enhancing the whole process people's democracy, and ensured the party's leadership in all areas of our work. Second, we leveled up the enaction of the Constitution. In 2018, the NPC adopted its fifth constitutional amendments, providing legal guarantee for the realization of the great rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. We enhanced the oversight on Constitution implementation, formulated a series of laws on oversight, protection of heroes and martyrs, national anthem, and revised the law of national flag, and implemented the rules of awards and pardoning. We set up the Special Committee on Constitution and Law, enhanced relevant work on constitutional review, and capacity building on the oversight of constitution implementation. We set up the system of oath and set up the national constitution. We preserved the constitutional order of the SARs set up by the Constitution and the Basic Law, formulated the national security law in Hong Kong, and improved the electoral system in Hong Kong through a number of decisions, which helped to guarantee the sound implementation of one country, two systems. We improved the socialist legal system. Since the 18th National Congress of the CPC, we have made a lot of efforts. The NPC and the Standing Committee introduced 69 new laws, made 237 legal revisions, adopted 99 decisions on legal and important matters, and made 9 legislative interpretations. There are now 292 valid laws. We also accelerated our legislative work. A number of laws were introduced or revised to meet the urgent need of national governance and people's need for a better life. We formulated the civil code, concluded or revised 20 laws, including the national security law and law against foreign sanction. This constitutes the legal guarantee for our national security. We also enhanced the work plan on the legislation over public health, and we revised and implemented the vaccine management law and the promotion of family education law. We also formulated the law on the protection of the Yangtze River, protection of black soil and the forest. Putting in place the legal framework for environmental protection, we ensured that national development and major reforms are based on laws. We formulated the Law on Foreign Investment, the Hainan Free Trade Port Law, revised the Land Management Law and Anti-Monopoly Law, locking the outcome of reform through legislation. We also made 30 authorized decisions to advance reforms. We made sure that the NPC play a leading role in legislation which is science-based, democratic, and law-based. Fourth, we ensured sound, effective, and law-based oversight over the past decade. The Standing Committee of the NPC listened to 140 reports on oversight, reviewed the implementation of some 50 laws, conducted 25 special hearings and 43 special research to support reform and social and economic development. We kept in mind the decisions of the CPC Central Committee and the needs of the people, and worked to address the problems holding back the development. This is all our oversight is about. The Standing Committee used various ways of oversight to monitor the performance in winning the war against abject poverty, pollution, and in diffusing the financial risks. We've played our role and made our efforts. The oversight function of the People's Congresses have been expanded with better mechanisms and higher efficacy. Fifth, we leveraged the role of deputies. We introduced a number of measures, 35 specific measures to improve our deputies' work, to make relevant work more institutional and regular. We seriously handled the motions and advices of the deputies and enhanced the connection between the NPC Standing Committee and the deputies and the people. We also expanded deputies' participation in the work of the Standing Committee and special committees. The data platform of the work of deputies is up and running. Sixth, we served the big picture of diplomatic work by enhancing our external reach out. Our top priority is to implement the decisions and outcomes of the Head of State diplomacy, expanded external relations with foreign parliaments, and actively took part in multilateral activities. We used these occasions to present the Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics in a new era, and we made good use of our spokesperson mechanisms and made our position clear and voice heard on issues concerning Xinjiang, Hong Kong, Tibet, Taiwan, the South China Sea, human rights, and COVID-19. Seventh is on organizational work. We enhanced political building, kept learning new theories, improved work conduct, and discipline building. We enhanced party building in the NPC and its Standing Committee, and we worked to build a team with firm political position that serve the people, respect laws, promote democracy, and are highly accountable. Thank you. And now the floor is open to questions. Please identify your affiliation before raising the question.
感谢主持人，新华社记者。
Xinhua News Agency. We noted that in 2018, the NPC Standing Committee hosted a seminar on implementing General Secretary Xi Jinping's important thinking on the People's Congress's system. Please brief us about the content of this important thinking and how the promotion work was done.
Thank you for your question. The achievements in the development of our system and our work is fully attributable to the scientific thoughts of our country. General Secretary Xi Jinping's thoughts on upholding and improving the People's Congress system take root in the practices since the 18th Party Congress on socialist democracy, whole process people's democracy, and the People's Congress system. It is a crystallization of his thoughts and theories on our system, work of the People's Congresses, and socialist democracy and rule of law. The formulation of his important thoughts mark a new height of the party's insights on our system and our work. General Secretary Xi Jinping's thoughts on adhering to and improving the People's Congress system is an important component of Xi Jinping's thoughts on socialism with Chinese characteristics in the new era, an enrichment to Marxist theory of state and socialist democracy theories, and provides guidance for our system in a new era, and also for the work of the People's Congresses. These important thoughts are scientific, systemic, and innovative. There are three key components of his thoughts. First, on the path and directions. General Secretary Xi Jinping expounded the important principles and pathways for our system and proposed the instructions for developing whole process people's democracy. We must stay on the right political direction and stay firmly to the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics. And second, on the institutional level, General Secretary expounded the historical inevitability and strengths of our system and expanded the dimensions to our system. In particular, in last year's working conference of the NPC, he stressed that we must work on 6 important areas to improve the People's Congress's system, that is, leadership of the CPC, upholding the people's administration of the country with institutional safeguards, democratic centralism. We must follow the path of socialism with Chinese characteristics, socialism with Chinese characteristics, and must provide institutional safeguards for our work. And third, on the specific work of the NPC, General Secretary Xi Jinping has a lot of specific instructions for our work. Also, at last year's conference, he identified 6 areas of work for the NPC moving forward in the new era. And that would include implementing the Constitution and maintaining its authority and dignity, improving the socialist legal system with Chinese characteristics, and promoting development and good governance with sound laws, making good use of the rights to supervise granted by the Constitution, and exercising correct, effective, and lawful oversight. Giving full play to the role of the deputies to heed the calls of the people, strengthening the awareness of political organs and improving the People's Congresses, and strengthening the party's all-round leadership on our work. These important ideas and instructions give us directions and guidelines to follow to develop whole process people's democracy in the new era, give full play to the fundamental political system, and improve our work. Over the past years, the NPC and its standing committee and headquarters have studied and implemented General Secretary Xi Jinping's important thoughts on upholding and improving the People's Congress system. Seminars have been held 4 years in a row on his important thoughts to deepen the engagement of People's Congresses at all levels in improving his important thoughts. We wrote out the opinions on studying and implementing General Secretary Xi Jinping's important thoughts on upholding and improving the People's Congress system from 2018 to 2022 for the NPC. In our work, we will make good use of the thoughts in our work to solve difficult problems and turn our takeaways into momentum and new ideas at work. Thank you. The next question, please.
谢谢主持人，中央广播电视总台的记者。
CCTV. Since the 18th Party Congress, the Central Committee has been strengthening its leadership on our work. Since the meeting held last October, which is a milestone, what are some effective practices of the MPC and its Standing Committee on the work of the MPC?
Thank you for the question. The system of the People's Congresses was established by the people under the leadership of the party, and only under the leadership of the party can we consolidate the system and keep its vitality. The MPC and the Standing Committee has made the central and unified leadership of the Central Committee a top political principle and discipline. First, we guide our work with the latest theories of the party, and we improved the mechanism of the joint study and lecture of the Standing Committee. We focused on learning Xi Jinping thought on socialism with Chinese characteristics in a new era, the important speech by General Secretary Xi Jinping, and the important decisions of the Central Committee and documents. We used the occasion of the joint study to improve our theory learning to guide our practice. Since the 18th National Congress of the CPC, the MPC leadership held 90 joint studies and 61 special lectures. Second, we focused on implementing the important decisions and instructions of General Secretary Xi Jinping and the Central Committee of the CPC. For all the important legislative projects identified by the Central Committee and General Secretary Xi, we faithfully implemented these projects and instructions, and we set up a work list to ensure sound implementation of all the important decisions. Third, we strictly enforced the rule of reports. The Standing Committee reports to the CPC Central Committee regularly, and on important matters and issues over the past decade, we made 450 reports to the Central Committee. And fifth, we enhanced relevant work on ideology. On the occasion of the centenary of the party, the 70th anniversary of the New China, the 40th anniversary of reform and opening up, and the 60th anniversary of the founding of the MPC, we actively communicated our achievements in democratic building under the leadership of the party, the advantages of our constitution and the system of the People's Congresses, and the latest achievements of the work. We presented all-round and in-depth reports on the meetings of the MPC and its Standing Committee, and we used publicity and legal means to protect our core interests and issues of major concerns to us. Next question.
谢谢主持人。光明日报记者提问。
Wang Daily. The whole process, people's democracy, is put forward by General Secretary Xi Jinping in Shanghai. He pointed out that the People's Congress system is an important vessel to ensure the whole process, people's democracy. And what is the role of the system of the People's Congresses in this regard?
Thank you. I'm happy to take your question. Whole process people's democracy is the creation of the CPC to unite and lead the Chinese people to pursue, develop, and realize democracy, and a major theoretical, institutional, and practical innovation of the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core. From my own understanding, whole process people's democracy is essentially socialist democracy. It's about the people in the entire process. That's its advantages. Whole process people's democracy has both full-fledged systems, procedures, and participatory practices to ensure that the people can carry out democratic elections, consultations, decision-making, administration, and oversight in accordance with the law. It is the most composite, broad-based, true, and effective socialist democracy covering all links and all dimensions. As you just rightly mentioned, General Secretary Xi Jinping pointed out that the People's Congress system is an important institutional vessel for realizing whole process people's democracy. And in that capacity, it has full-fledged systems and procedures as well as platforms for full participation. And on institutional safeguards, when the people run the country, it's most important for them to exercise state power and to administrate. As the fundamental political system, the People's Congress system maintains and helps the Chinese people to exercise state powers through different levels of different levels of People's Congress to administer social and state affairs. At the same time, the People's Congress as legislature provides a legal safeguard for whole process people's democracy by making and amending the Constitution and laws. The Constitution provides for the basic rights and obligations of citizens. The systems and policies enshrined in it aim to realize, safeguard, and develop the fundamental rights and interests of the majority of the people. The People's Congress has also formulated laws to protect and develop citizens' rights in political, economic, social, cultural, environmental, and other fields. The complete legal system serves people's democracy and well-being. And from the perspective of participation, People's Congresses work cover all links of democratic election, consultation, decision-making, administration, and oversight. Let me give you a few examples. In the latest county and township People's Congress elections, more than 1 billion voters directly casted their votes and elected 2.62 million delegates. It's a vivid illustration of our democratic practices. Our consultations take many forms, including research, discussion, deliberation, and public opinions. All laws and resolutions adopted by the People's Congresses are voted on in accordance with law and after fully soliciting comments and building consensus. Our oversight is legally forceful and can promote the legitimate rights and interests of the people and the rightful exercise of power by our national bodies. Whole process people's democracy ensures the people's right to know, participate, express, and supervise in all links and aspects of our work, so that opinions can fully reflect the fundamental interests of the majority of people. Thank you. Now the floor is open for more questions. China Daily. As we know that legislation is an important part of the NPC's work, I'd like to know on legislation, what have you done over the past decade?
我来回答这位记者的这个提问。深入推进科学立法、民主立法、依法立法，
The law-based
党中央
legislation
高度重视
and the science and the democratic legislation is
做好人大
the
立法
important
工作
work
提高立法工作的基础
that General
关键。
Secretary Xi Jinping attached great importance.
那么科学立法
And about the
它的
science-based
主要的
legislation,
核心要
the
义
key is
就是尊
to
重和体现
respect
客观规
and
律。
reflect the
比如说
objective
这个
laws.
依托立法项目
For
征集和
example,
论
we
证，
use
科学制定
legislative
并
projects
实施
to
立法规
solicit
划和计划，
opinions
遵
and
循立
set
法
up
活动规律，不
science-based
断改进立法
plans.
技术。
We also improved the legislative
争议
technology
较大的重要立
for
法
those
事项引入第三
issues
方评
with
估。
great controversy. We introduced the mechanism of third-party review. As for democratic legislation, that is, a legislation by the people and for the people, we used various ways to ensure open-door legislation, to solicit public opinion and advice, to pool collective wisdom and consensus. As for law-based legislation, that is to strictly follow the procedures identified by the Constitution and other laws, and prevent and redress issues that are against the Constitution, to make sure that our legislation are law-based and rule-based.
那么做到科学立法、民主立法、依法立法，
To
这些年
ensure
来呢，很重要的一项
science-based,
工作呢，
democratic
就是要
and
发挥
law-based
人大在立
legislation,
法工作中的
the
主导
role
作用。
of the NPC and other people's congresses
那
is
么发挥
very
人大在立法
important.
工作中的
And
主
how
导作
to
用，
better leverage the
还有一个
leading
前
role
提，
of
这
the
个前
people's
提就是
congresses?
坚持
The
党对
precondition
立法
is
工
to
作的
ensure
集中统一领导，
the central and unified
形成
leadership of the
党委
party.
领导、人大主
We
导、
established
政府依
a
托、
working
各
mechanism
方参与的
under the
立法
leadership
工作
of
格局，
the party
汇
committee,
集呢各方面。
the guide of the
立法
people's
工作的合力。
congresses, with the government as the
那么具
main
体讲
body
呢，人大
and
在立法工作
wide
中发
participation
挥
by
主导
all
作用，
sides.
主要体现在以
And
下
the
几个
leading
方
role
面。
of the people's congresses in
一是制定
legislation are
立法
reflected
规
in the
划和计
following
划，
areas. First,
就是
on
统筹安排
the
立法项目，增强立法工作
establishment
的这种
of
计划
rules
性。
and plans,
科
we
学
made
性。
sure that relevant work
二
are
是
well
呢，
planned and
由人大的专门
science-based.
委员会、
And
工作
second,
委员会牵头
we
起草重要的基础性的法律草案
played，a leading role
由
in the
人大牵头
draft
起草。
of
同时呢，对有关部
draft
门
documents
负责起草
of
的法律
laws
草案要提前
that
介入，
are
加强组
of
织协调，
fundamental importance. And
督
also,
促有关部
we
门呢按照
will
规划或者计划
participate
按时提起审
in
议，
the drafting of laws
同时也
at
是
an early stage
及时的
to
协调
enhance
解
our
决立法中的一
coordination,
些
and also for
重大的
those
问题
major
和一些
issues that may
各个部
occur
门
in
和
the
各个方面存在的
legislation.
一些
We
分
will
歧。
play a coordinating role to help
第三就是要
coordinate
发挥
different
好人大的
departments
审议法官
address
作用，
their differences.
这个要
And
发扬民主，
we
集思广
also
益，
play
广泛
a
凝聚
leading
立法
role
共识，
in promoting
特
democracy,
别是要注
pooling
重防
wisdom,
止部门
and
利益和地方保护主义。
consensus. In particular, we worked to
第四
prevent
是
vested
发挥
interests
人大
and local protectionism.
表达
And
平衡
fifth,
调整社会利益方面的重要作
fully
用。
leveraged the role of the people's
人大因为
congresses
是国家
in
权力机关，
balancing
是
social
中是代表
interests.
人民利益和意志
The
行
people's
使国家
congresses
权力，
is a body of
所以
power,
要
so we
维护好
represent the
最
people,
广大人民的
and
根本利
we
益，
need to
同时也要兼顾
protect
社
the
会上特
fundamental
殊群体的
interests of the
合法权
majority
利。
of people in the world, at the same time accommodate the legitimate
大家可以继续
interests
提
and
问。
rights of
这
special
边
groups.
第二排。
Okay, next question.
谢谢主持人。人民网记者提问，就是人大监督是党和国家监督体系的重要组成部分。党
Peoples.com.
的18大以来，全国人大常委会
Since the
在
18th
行使好宪法
Congress,
法律赋予的监督
The
职权方面
NBC
做了哪
Standing
些重点
Committee
工作？
has done a
在
lot of
完善
work
监督
in
方式、健全
performing
监督
its
机制方面有哪些举措？谢谢。
role in exercising its
这个问题我来回答。
duty under the Constitution.
过去
So
10
what are
年
the special
全国大常委会
measures?
坚持围绕中心服务大局，突出
In
重
the
点
past
讲究
10 years,
实
the
效，
NBC Standing Committee, serving the central leadership, larger picture, and priorities, have implemented correct and effective oversight in accordance with law, and has handed in a productive report card. One focus of our continuous supervisory efforts is environmental protection.
连续5年开展执
We
法
have
检查，
taken
先后检查了大气
targeted
污染防治法、水
actions.
污染防治法。
The current Standing Committee has been tracking environmental protection law enforcement for 5 years in a row, including the laws on air pollution, water pollution, landfill pollution, solid waste control, and environmental protection. Chairman Li Zhanshu headed a team for inspections to the localities, covering all 31 provinces, autonomous regions, and municipalities, and achieved great supervisory effect, with Congresses at all levels working in tandem. In law enforcement inspections, we came up with new methods and improved mechanisms, combined on-site inspections with sampling, questionnaire, and online research, with both announced and unannounced visits. We have also invited outsiders to participate in our work. The practice of third-party assessment helps make law enforcement more effective, objective, and authoritative. Stronger review and oversight of budget, final accounts, and state-owned assets is a new responsibility entrusted by the CPC Central Committee to the People's Congresses. The Standing Committee is improving relevant systems and mechanisms, has adopted decisions on strengthening oversight of state-owned assets, revised the decision on strengthening central budget review and oversight, issued oversight documents on rectification of problems found in audit and review, and also a review of local government debt. We are promoting the expanded reform of budget review and oversight, stressing full-range review and whole-process oversight. For 4 consecutive years, we reviewed reports on the allocation and use of fiscal funds in key areas, and reviewed reports every year on rectification of problems found in audit and reviews. We're also promoting networked budget oversight. To date, all provincial-level People's Congresses, more than 90% at city level and more than 80% at county level, are part of the budget oversight network. We have rolled out a 5-year working plan on management and oversight of state-owned assets, reviewed comprehensive reports and special reports on the management of state-owned assets for 4 consecutive years, took full stock of state-owned assets, and achieved full coverage oversight of all 4 categories of state-owned assets. We are also strengthening the oversight of supervisory and judicial work to maintain social fairness and justice. In 2018, for the first time, a special inquiry was conducted on the work related to the Supreme People's Court and Procuratorate. In 2020, for the first time, the National Commission of Supervision report on implementation of anti-corruption and international pursuit of fugitives have also marked a new milestone.
谢谢主持人，我是红星新闻记者。刚才发布词中提到，全国人大常委会出台的关于加强和改进全国人大代表工作的具体措施等制度规范，在提高人大代表的履职能力和水平，更好发挥人大代表作用方面，全国人大常委会还采取了哪些举措？
我来回答这个问题。To
support and guarantee the duty fulfillment of deputies and better leverage their role is basic to our work. Over the past decade, we witnessed the improvement of the deputies' work mechanisms and leapfrog development in this regard. First, we made solid progress on the mechanism building of the deputies' work. I mentioned the 35 specific measures for improving and strengthening the work of the deputies. Apart from that, the MPC Standing Committee also formulated the opinions on improving the connection between the MPC Standing Committee and the national deputies of the MPC, as well as the opinion on using online platforms to solicit public opinions, and the opinions on improving the study and training courses for deputies. All this has made our work more regular and well organized. So now there are 156 members of the Standing Committee. They have direct connections with 439 deputies of the MPC, and there are also connection mechanisms between the special committees and working committees of the MPC with deputies. So all the community-level deputies are covered by these mechanisms. Second, we expanded the participation of deputies in the standing committees and special committees' work. We invite them to sit in standing committee meetings and set up the deputies' seminars. So the chairman of the standing committee and vice chairmen, they will sit in these seminars and discuss with deputies. We have held 16 seminars with 730 participants. The 530 opinions raised at those seminars were transferred to relevant departments for handling and for response. We also encouraged deputies to take part in the research of legislation and law enforcement work. We also solicit their opinions and seriously take into account of their opinions. Third, we seriously handled the 4,648 motions and 84,028 suggestions. These are what we have done in the past 5 years. So all these motions and advices are responded, and a number of concerns of great interest to the people are properly handled. And fifth, we encouraged deputies to carry out field research and inspection and support deputies to take part in the activities of the local deputy stations to enhance their connection with the people and to be more responsive to the call of the people. Fifth, we continue to improve our training for the deputies. We made customized training courses for the deputies, enhanced the building of online training courses for deputies. There are now 150 online courses, and 2,500 NPC deputies have taken part in online training. Over the past 10 years, we hosted 43 training courses for deputies. Over 20,000 deputies took part in those trainings. These all helped to improve their capacity to deliver and fulfill their duties. Next question.
谢谢主持人央贡。记者提问：完善人大的民主民意表达
To
平台和
improve
诉求
the
是习近平总书
mechanism
记在
and the
中央人大工
platform
作会议
for
上提出的明确要
soliciting
求。
public
那么请
opinion
问，
is
全
the
国人大常委会
important
近年来
work
采取了哪些措施，
identified
在
by
这方
General
面
Secretary Xi
更好地去
Jinping.
畅
So
通人
what
群
are
和
the
诉求的
measures
表达渠
taken
道？
by
谢谢。
the NPC to deliver this work? Thank you for the
人民
question.
参与民主的这个实践越广泛，意
The
愿表
more
达的越充分，
extensively people take part in the practice of democracy, the more fully their voice were heard, the more real the realization of people's democracy, and the greater the vitality of the whole process, people's democracy.
一切依靠人民。
The NPC, as an organ of state power, we believe in for the people and by the people.
健全
And we made a number of efforts to establish and improve the platforms and vessels for soliciting public opinions and improving the
一是呢，就是
efforts to pour
健全
public
了常态
wisdom.
化的
First,
法律
we
草案公开征求意
improved
见，
the mechanism for soliciting
意见
public
采纳反馈系统。
opinions on the
现在
draft
全国人大常委
of
会初次
laws,
审议和
and
继续
we
审
are
议
more
的法律草
responsive
案，
to those opinions.
都及
So
时
in all the
向社会
deliberation
公
of
布
draft
征求意
laws,
见。
we opened the
那么这
process
10年来，
to the public and
一共
solicited
有
public
217
opinions.
件次
Over
的
the
法律
past
草案
decade,
向社会公布征求意见，
270
收到
law draft has been
120多万人
published
次
to the
提出的
public to solicit
380多
their
万条意见
opinions,
建议。
and we received 3.8 million suggestions and advice from 1.27 million people. So this is a very important way for the people to take direct part in national legislation. Second, we continued to make steady progress in the building of contact point at community levels. The Legal Affairs Committee set up 22 community-level contact points covering 2/3 of the provinces, which also encouraged lower-level people's congresses to set up such contact points. There are now 5,500 local-level contact points. The
通过这些基层联系
budgetary
点呢，
committee set up 5
有效地
local
发挥
budgetary
了
auditing
这个民主
contact points.
民意表
Through
达
those
的直
contact
通车作用，
points, the public
让
opinion
人大
can be
工作更好地
directly
接地气，
reflected
查
to
民情，
the people's congresses so that
聚民治，
our
惠
work
民生。
can be more down to earth and we
三是
can
发挥信访
learn
平
from
台
the
作用。
public wisdom and
全
opinion.
国大常委
And
会呢
third,
建
we
好用好
improved the
人大
platform
信访
of the
窗口。
petition
这个信访
work.
窗口就是有一个
We
接待的
had
场所，
a
可以面对面的听
petition
取群众的
window
意见。
that can
接触
allow
群众
us
的来信
to
来访。
face the people face
那
to
么从
face to hear their
2020年
opinions
起
and
呢，又开通了全
to
国人大机关
respond to
网
their
上信访平
letters
台，
and
都
calls.
走好网上。
In
群众
2020, we also set up
本届以
an
来，
online
本
petition
届4年
platform
多，
for the people.
累计处理信访
Over the
总量
past
是
4 years,
38.18
we
万
handled
件次，其中网上信访
381.8
平台受理4万多件次，
thousand cases,
还
including
交办转办
40,000
代表
online
来信
cases.
780件次。
780 cases were transferred
这
to
个比较集中的问题
deputies. The
都
problems
在
of wide
相关
concern
的
to the
立法和
people
监督工
are
作中得
firmly
到了解决和回应。
timely responded through
四
legislation
是呢，
and
全国大常委会
oversight.
建立了
Fifth,
审查
we
信息平
also
台
set up a
国家法律法
digital
规数据库、
platform for
代表工作信息化平台等，
review and also a data platform for national laws and
人民
rules,
群众和社
as
会各
well
方
as
面反
a
映的
data
意见建议。
platform for the work of the deputies. All these help us
那么
to
除了这些主要的
hear
平
from
台
the
载体
public
在实际
on
工
our
作中呢
work.
全国大常委
And
会
also
还建立健全了一系列
we
听取民意、汇集
improved
民治的
the
这
working
种工作机
mechanisms
制。
for soliciting public
那么
opinions,
包括调
including
研、座
through
谈、
the
论
ways
证、
of
听证、调查
lectures,
问卷等等吧，
seminars,
很多种
meetings,
形式，
hearings, and
目的
surveys.
都是
All these
多途径、
are aimed at
多种方式
soliciting
广泛
public
深入地
opinions
听
through
到人民
various
群众的
ways
意愿呼声。
so that
提升人大
the
工
call
作
of
的
the
质量。
people can be heard and the
在地方
voice
上
can be made.
现在各级人大普遍设立了
At
代表
the
之家、
community level,
代表联络站，
people's congresses at
那么这
various
成为了
levels
人大代表
have set up the
听取群众意
deputies'
见履
open
行职责的一
offices
个重要
so
的平
that
台。
in those open
这个
offices,
是
the
人大民
people
主民
can
意
make
这
their
个表
voice
达平
heard
台和
and
载
the
体，在地
deputies
方上我觉得
can
最重要
fulfill
的
their
一个
duties
体
in
现。
accordance with law.
那么目前呢，全国建成的这个
Now,
代表家站呢，一
Nationwide,
共有22万
there
多
are
个，代表联系群众
220,000
加强
such
学习、
offices
履行职
so
责，
that deputies can
那么一
use
个
those
固
open
定、便
offices
捷、有效的服务
opportunities
平台。
to
谢谢。
be
好，
to
请
have
大家继续提
direct
问。
connection with the
还有
people
这位记者，
and they can provide more
第二排。
services for the people. Next question.
谢谢主持人。南方都市报记者提问。近2年全国人大组织法和议事规则、地方组织法
Over the
相继
past
进
2
行修改。
years, we revised
前
the
2年
organic
前
law
几天闭
and
幕的常委会会议又
the
修改
rules
了
of
全国人大
procedures
常委会议
for
事
the
规则。
MPC.
请问
And
这些法律的
recently,
修改
there's a
对于人
latest
民代表
revision
大会
of the
制度
rules
完
of
善发展有
procedures.
何意义？
So
谢
what
谢。
can this be
我来
more
回答这位记者的问题。那
can,
么我们知
how
道，
can
我
it
国
can
的
be
人民代表
reduced
大会制度虽然具
conducive
有
to
无
our
可比
work?
拟的优势，但它不是固步
Thank
自
you. I will
封、
take
一成
your
不变的。
question.
相反，
Although
这是在实
there
践
are
中不断
some
发展完善的，
advantages
就具有
to
面向
our
未来与时
system,
俱进的
it
品
also
质。
must keep
那么
abreast with the
完
times,
善是和国家
and it
权力
is
机关特
capable
点
of doing that
充满活力的
intrinsically.
组织制度和运行机制，
To keep abreast of the times, the People's Congress system must develop robust organizational and functional institutions suited to its
全国人大
features.
组织法和议事规则。再次修改全国人
The
大
first
常委会
revision of
议
the
事规则
MPC's
两
organic
次修
law
改选
and
举法
rules of
和地
procedure,
方组织法
the second revision of the
将
MPC
党中央
Standing
的要
Committee's
求
rules of
全
procedure,
过程人民
and
民
two
主理念
revisions of
实践
the
中一些
election
成熟
law
有
and
效
the
的做法
organization
确认
law
下
at subnational levels
那么在
have established
建
the
军
instructions
机构
of the
方面
Party
是
Central
团结全国
Committee
人大
and the theory and good
增设
practices
社
of
会
whole
建设委员
process
会
people's
调
democracy.
整设立
In terms of improving
监察
organizational
和司法委
structures,
员会
the
宪法和
13th
法律委员会
MPC added a Social Development Affairs Committee and adjusted the Supervisory and Judicial Affairs Committee and the Constitution and Law Committee. During the revision of the Organic Law in 2021, mandates of special committees increased from 5 to 12 to tap into the special committee's strengths. We revised the Organic Law at subnational levels, expanded the membership of the standing committees of local People's Congresses, set up special committees under the county-level People's Congresses and working bodies in the sub-districts under their standing committees, and clarified the intersessional mandates of the Presidium of the Township People's Congresses. These will lay a solid foundation for the work of local People's Congresses to be more robust. On improving the organization of meetings, in light of new circumstances from regularized COVID-19 containment efforts and drawing from the practices in previous years, we revised the rules of procedure of the NPC. It is clarified that the Standing Committee can bring forward or postpone sessions of the NPC as appropriate. Attendance via video link is also touched upon and provided for. In recent years, we find ourselves tasked with more duties, and additional Standing Committee meetings are a new normal. The latest revision of the rules of procedure of the NPC Standing Committees clearly allows for additional meetings when necessary. Revision to the two rules of procedure came up with new measures to streamline meeting procedures, improve voting methods, standardize panel meetings, and joint meetings to improve the efficacy and efficiency of NPC deliberations. If there are no more questions from our friends from the media, then that would be the end of our press conference today. Thank you for being with us.
You were listening to Chinese officials talking about the progress and achievements of the National People's Congress so far. Now, they also stressed that they talked about the importance of the whole process, people's democracy, and how this plays a role in China's political system. They also stressed that President Xi Jinping has identified areas where the NPC can further develop the People's Congress system. Now, the briefing comes ahead of the 20th National Congress of the Communist Party of China, which convenes later this year. So let's discuss this latest briefing by Chinese officials with Mr. Li Yong, the chief researcher at the DNC think tank in Beijing. Mr. Li, good to have you with us. Mr. Li, can you hear me? Okay, unfortunately, we've lost him. Let's go for a short break. Stay with us.